I promise there will be reward for people who have great performance. Regarding societies, society is what people, it's what connect it's what connect people in our campus with common culture. As such, I will continue endorsing societies of people with cultures. One of the significant look is into is coordinate the any questions?
Very nice. May I please get order in the house? The floor is now open for questions. We will be taking 3 questions. Noted you. Second.
So as I have sport in Europe, and there is no sport that is superior than the other. So if there is a sport that is superior than the other, you will see your sport as if like it doesn't have a we treat every sport equally. We will have people who will strive for excellence.
Please get order in the house.
In your manifesto, you speak of sports and societies that participate in engagement. Currently, there is minimal participation from sports and societies in community engagement. How will you ensure that there is more participation and that you do not reward mediocrity?
A very good question, be encouraged to participate in that society or that sport. You see, if there is no to support the material, people will shy away from the field. Thank you.
But like in your manifesto, you mentioned that you want to bring back intervarsity, right? My question to you is that, as far as I'm concerned, intervarsity is still a thing. The thing that's happening is that Road has stated that they don't want to participate due to funding because it's expensive, it's unsafe for students. Yeah, it's unsafe for students. And also, it's not exactly that they're not participating or that it's not a thing. It's just that circumstances with NMMU and Port Hair, it just hasn't had an opportunity to come to Rhodes in the past few years. So what exactly do you mean that you bring it back because it's not gone?
Okay.
Can you please allow the candidate to respond?
The only thing that I know is that there was a safety precaution that the intervarsity to come here. So working with PSD, CPU, yes. the CPU to enforce the security in our country so that the intervarsity can be our theme also.
Alright. We're gonna move into which is the Opidon Councillor candidates, and our first one is Jesse Tisha.
Because it knows where I need to go. Here I am. I cannot, but what I do promise you, my ultimate commitment to this platform met and addressed. I promise to be innovative in terms of coming up with solutions. And unlike others, I do not hear about all the issues from the grapevine. Lack of communication, lack of funds, lack of safety, and we still don't have shelters. These are some of our problems. But I speak solutions. Providing our first years 2 meals for a week is expensive. This year alone, we spent 98,000 rands, and this has taken a toll on our budget. But at the same time, I understand the importance of what it is that we are doing as a dining hall. Those 2 meals go a long way when you're trying to find your feet in a new town. And because it's so important, it's only university meets us halfway in terms of covering these expenses by integrating our OP first years into their program. Second, as a way to address our lack of funds and the decrease in the number of social events we've had, I plan to dining hall that I know is gearing up. From this partnership, I hope they can consider hosting us a reasonable amount to host our events in their dining hall. So important in residence, yet Maidan not know what to do should they find themselves in a burning house. This issue is not taken seriously, and that is a concern. This university can address our issues. Most important, but the most ignored issue is the lack of shelter. We still don't have a proper bus shelter, and on days like these, we find ourselves standing in the rain. This is just a matter of priorities. I am saying this can be done. I'm not speaking about shopping malls here, but it's a practical.
May you please get order in the house? Order. Okay. Okay, now the floor is
Jesse, just like, I'm not a copy down, but I've heard that certain first years find themselves in problems where they've signed leases, but when they get here. So what strategies are you going to put forward to prevent such things from happening?
Well, that's a good question. The main thing would then need to be before signing leases, OPDANs are actually informed in terms of what to look out for in leases, not to be pressurized by agents because they get that a lot, right? And I think having legal subordinates on our committee helps. Then students can consult with them.
Jesse, my question goes to the shelter that you're talking about. How do you plan to go about getting the university to make the shelter to be erected? Thank you.
Okay. So on the 7th of August, I had a meeting with the division on campus that would be in charge of getting that shelter built. And the main objective is an actual practical thing that can be done, right? So that I don't stand here and sell you dreams. From what was said is that all they needed was someone to take it up further. We are going to look into ways of making sure that when the shelter is built, it's aesthetically approved by the university and it goes with their requirements, right? In terms of funding, that's something we'd have to look up into. And then based on that, we'd have to see if we need external donors, and if it's something we can cover as a university, then that's what would happen.
Please, can you ask your question?
Sorry.
We have limited time. Please ask your question.
I want to come to the question of safety, because when you talk about OPD students living in resis, we talk about them differently, and safety is not much very the same, because when you talk about gates, I don't care, but I'm sorry.
Please get order in the house.
So my question is that what are you of students living but without obedience in terms of safety, and the thing about transport that they can't go to obedient buses without student cards, and if you're going to do anything about it?
Thank you. I think you asked two things there. So your first question was safety, and then the second was the student card issue, right? With the first one, I don't know if you're aware, but there's a crime-wise campaign that's supposed to start at the end of this term. And what that campaign is going to be working with SAPS, high-tech securities, and our committee, well, anti-foreign. But what they plan to do there is to have the police patrol certain routes that we use frequently, and to make sure that we're safe even when we're walking home, right? My role then would be to ensure that this is implemented, and if not, inquire as to why it's not implemented and how far our president is in terms of making sure it's done. The second part of your question was in terms of the student cards. That is done because running the bus actually that this bus serves the people it's meant for, and that's why we need student cards to verify it.
At this point, I'd like to call up the second candidate for Oppidan Councillor, Chandra Avery.
Be a voice. I'm Avery, and I'll be running for the Oppidan Councillor for 2019. Being a girl of color in a predominantly white high school was one of the most challenging experiences I've ever had to face. My skin was not light enough, and I was considered not intelligent enough. And no matter how hard I worked, I was never good enough. I did not fit in because the color of my skin was brown, and I was never accepted because I'm colored. This is what motivated me to apply for the position of Oppidan Councillor for 2019. Not only to prove to the world that my intelligence as a woman of color should never be undermined, responsibility to contribute to society as much as possible. My final goal is to bring about transformation within the Rhodes community, particularly so within the community made up of people of skin that consists of melanin. I know that so many of you are going to be aware of the fact that my skin is too light, but I have never been light enough or dark enough to fit in.
May we please get order in the house?
And now,
Order.
And now it is my time to stand up for my caramel-colored skin. After revealing that I was applying to be part of the SRC for 2019, the first question that everyone asked me was why. The reason why is women empowerment. As women, we are still confined to the stereotypes that were created for us by men. Now, I believe that it is now our time to create our. But my motivation is not surrounded by the want for power. It is enforced by the need to make a safe environment for women and the community. It is enforced by the need for change within this community. Helping people and trying to make their lives better. I do not come from the wealthiest background, so I know what it feels like to have to work hard for the things that you want. When deciding to apply to take on a position to be the Oppidan Students Representative, my decision was based on the fact that I needed to do something to change the lives of those around me. The issues that need to be addressed, particularly with regards to the Oppidan bus. I intend to do so by re-implementing what this year's SRC councillor did. He instituted the student card for Oppidan students because there were students who weren't Oppidan students.
Okay, thank you very much. The floor is now open for questions. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Ola. You may ask a question.
Thank you very much for the presentation you've given us today, and with all due respect to the content that you've given us, but as a person who've served in the Opinion Committee, we've not experienced any racial issues, and your campaign, I find it to be based on real issues, but you're not addressing key problems that we're facing as Opinions. So can you please give us like a complete plan of what you and not a divisive campaign, please?
I do have So what I have to do with that is that the university works in coherence with the realties. We form an agreement with the realties in which there's a standardized price and standard. Having some of the trees here, because the trees create a lot of shadow to walk at night.
One question. That the university needs to have for accreditation for this. And still today, the university has not been able to implement that or even. So now, how do you plan about to make this, get that to actually happen or interested in?
Thank you for your question. I'm a very hands-on person. I'm very persistent in what I do, and I plan to work very closely with Antiquarian because I have built a relationship with for the last 2 years, and I feel like that relationship is going to enable me to work with the realties to get this. I spoke to the research that I did is that I spoke to this year's myself. I do understand the issues that occupants do face because I've only been an occupant. I only know what it is to be an occupant. So
okay, thank you very much.
The final candidate on the Opidan portfolio, Ransom Muranda. Right. It seems the candidate is not here, so we're going to move on to the next one. All right. If I could get your attention, please. All right. The next portfolio we're going to move on to is the media portfolio. There are two candidates. Sorry, please. Thank you. There are two candidates for the media portfolio, and the first one is Annika Williams.
My time here. Matinda Abakazi, Matinda Ibuwe. When I fall, I get right back up. I am resilient. I'm a professional in stilettos. I'm currently a second-year student studying towards a BJournal with a second major in drama. I am your SRC Hall Rep with Des and the Transformation Rep with Margaret Smith. I strive to make students feel at home and ensure that I'm an active participant in their residence and hall life. Considering my experience in the arts and media for basically my entire life, and my experience in a leadership position that interacts with various people on a daily basis, I can gladly say that I'd be the best candidate for the SRC Media Portfolio for 2019. The SRC Media Portfolio in the past years has mainly focused on taking care of their SRC, well, the image of the SRC. But what about the students? How can they be taken care of through media? So this is what I am here as your media counselor to do. There are two sides to media. The one side is from the SRC perspective, and the other side is from the student perspective. I want to spend my year in office bridging the gap between the two. I envision to spend a month in which by media, I aim to inspire and celebrate each other's lives. I message someone on their contacts list where they haven't maybe spoken to in a while, just sending them a short message to say that they are loved and appreciated. One small gesture like that could change someone's life forever. I would also like to provide students with lessons on how they themselves can use media platforms effectively. I plan to make use of our IS department and even the IT society to make this possible. As a media counselor, I believe that my purpose is not just the way that I pass passion for network for bridging platforms is endless. Getting things across media in the best way possible is using the skills that I have. For example, I'm not going to stand and make promises that I can't keep, but I can say that because I am the vision that I have here is something that I will not let go of, whether I get elected or not. I'm determined and care a whole lot about people. That may be my biggest motivation. If I strive for something, I make sure that I get it. If I'm thrown off or knocked down, I make sure that I get back up and carry on. Clearly, as you can see that I'm here on pictures. But most importantly, I am a fighter. I fight for what I want in life, and I'll fight for others. Me and my people. My time here, I want to be revered and remembered for letting say I gave my costume. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The floor is now open for questions. Just a reminder, if you ask the question, I might give other students a chance. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much. And then
so you mentioned that you want to make a lot of changes to communications via the SRC and that sort of thing. Now, one of the challenges that was placed on this SRC was that they weren't able to send out messages to students telling them when student body meetings were. How do you plan to overcome that?
Well,
so the current is to communicate with students about when the student body meetings was going to be, because they don't have access to our main plan to communicate to us in light of that.
Well, I would first look at making sure that obviously every student in the university, being either an OPDAN or a resident student, list, and on Facebook or other platforms, I would put posters up to also spread in light of when student body meetings are. And if they didn't maybe have access to that, then they could come to me directly and let me know, and I would then make
Sisi, so you're speaking about bridging the gap between the perspective of the students and the perspective of the university in terms of media consumption? What systems do you have in place to make sure the students in terms of media? And the second part is, I know the fact that the previously advanced South Africa and also the Model C schools and the private schools get a special visit from Rhodes University to recruit students. And those marginalized schools don't get that kind of attention. What plans do you have in place to make sure that we, the people of the are able to access Rhodes University?
Please allow the candidate to respond.
For the first part of your question regarding bridging the gap, I want to, I don't know if you know of Humans of New York, but there is a Facebook page, and it speaks about random human beings. And I think that is incredibly important because every single human being in this room is so important. Like, we get so belittled by like the slightest thing. And with regards, if they are going to like Model C schools, that is a problem. And I will make them have to force it. I will fight that other schools. I will fight that other schools get the opportunity to also be visited by Rhodes University, because it is unfair to just look at Model C schools because they're
Okay, thank you very much.
So you say you're serving currently as Warren for Desmond Tutu, I'm over here, and in Margaret Smith as both branches under the SRC. I just want to know, in your tenure, what noteworthy things have you done in those spaces that you can bring forward into your media portfolio position?
Noteworthy things in my portfolio. So as I've held duties that, but I've also, I think trying to, I try to help the students that were being very good. Some of them want to sleep, and I was trying to get them home. But I think that for me, it may not be a big thing, and it may not be a thing that's advertised, but I think just helping one person, because there's nothing too big or too small that I've done that I have been exposed to that I think is noteworthy.
Yes, we are. Thank you very much.
Councillor Portfolio.
The IEP 2018 One of the quotes that I live by is, good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity by net terms affecting students is made accessible to the student body. My vision is to bridge the gap between student body and the 2019 SRC. I can implement this by strengthening communication, the platform,
the SRC website, Lalelani, the SRC media radio, and student body mailing list. Our student body minutes are made available before a new student body meeting and after student body meetings in collaboration with SEC. Our work in maintaining and improving the relationship between SRC and student media organizations. In implementing good communication, I will push for a big and eye-catching notice board situated as it is a place that is frequented by many students. Last, the drivers of Media Counselor, the media team. I will ensure that a good and trustworthy relationship is developed
The floor is now open for questions. Any other questions?
Right. So you mentioned that you were going to put up a notice board by the library, but I think the mailing list would be better communicated. How do you think you can maybe get access to that student mailing list so that you can actually communicate better?
I have seen that is being done. The emails are sent to the whole administrators, then from the whole administrators to the students. So I feel that is one way that is.
Most of your, I guess, your media-related issues are things that previous media counselors have mentioned that they would do and stuff. Basically, other than the notice board, mentioned anything else that you specifically would do? Because I mean, we already have that, what's called that, many people just pass by it every other day. Who's to say that people are not going to do the same with the notice board? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. Which is obviously meant by me, because in the long run, and very thing is having an electronic billboard, which is going to be situated at a place where students can access it, and even when you're passing, you can just look at it, and your poster will be advertised or something.